What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video where we are going to go over the C5 Corvette that I bought from my friend, and I've done a little bit of work to it, but I've mostly just enjoyed driving it. My kid and I, for the most part, go out and drive it together. It's something I get him in and out of real easy, and he likes it too. So, after having the car for a while, I found that a C5 Corvette is really good. If you're going to go spend money on something nowadays, it doesn't go as far as it did 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, it seems like. And for what you can pick a C5 up nowadays for, if you find a 6-speed one like this, I think they're a great value relative to what you have to pay to get into a C6 or what you get for a C4. So anyways, that's about it. Before we hop into today's video, I do have to give a shout out and thank you to our video sponsor, Vevor. They did send a TIG welder. I'm going to show you guys about it a little bit. And honestly, for a couple $100, you could be TIG welding out in your garage, minus the gas assembly and a couple of consumables. But for a couple $100, you're going to get the welding unit, torch head and everything, and you're pretty much race ready. So I'm impressed. Anyways, we'll hop right into that segment and then we'll go pick up the Corvette. The next order of business is that today's video is brought to you by Vevor. I have their $200 TIG welder right here. Let's check out what's in the box and see what kind of quality you get. It's not a complete kit, but for the money and the reviews I've seen, I think this is actually going to be a pretty decent little TIG setup for the hobbyist garage, which is very much so what I've got going on. So, it looks halfway decently packaged so far. Lost my torch stand. Is looking pretty good. Quite a bit of stuff in here. Okay. So this $200 TIG setup from Vevor seems to work really well, actually. This is right out of the box. I got my argon flowing at around 7 CFM, I think it's rated at, is what the dial means. But anyway, I got it set at 140 amps, half a second pre-flow, 1.5 seconds post-flow. I'm set to TIG, DC, and I forget what 2T and 4T mean on it. It's in Vevor says that that's how far the tungsten electrode is sticking out. But what I have achieved so far with some scrap metal is just a couple of little practice runs, and it's been a long time since I've TIG welded, but honestly, this machine runs really well. For $200, you'll be 3-4 times that much money into your argon side setup than anything. Plus you have to get consumables like filler rod and tungsten. Comes with a number of cups and things like that. But I'll do one weld while you guys are watching. I'll go on the back side of this and do a little fillet weld, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all done. So set at 140 amps is what it says. I'm in a 15 amp wall outlet, which is less than desirable. I've got a 30 amp one on the other side of the garage, but I don't have a bench over there. So I'm going to see what it can run on, coincidentally in what would be most people's garages. So this metal is still hot, but I'll be able to handle it here. This is not an ideal welding setup, but what I got is this is an ER70S filler rod, 16th inch. So thank you to my buddy Taylor for lending me his filler rod here, and then letting me his personal argon tank setup. So I don't know if I'm going to be in the way for you guys seeing this. I'll try and get you as good of a view as possible, but you're not going to see much anyways. I'm going to hood up and put down one more weld. We'll see what we can do here. I already touched the tip to the filler material one time, so I've already had to grind it a couple times, and all I've got is a bench grinder, which is less than ideal. But I'm getting used to the trigger setup on this. I don't really care for it. I'm really used to a foot pedal. It's like you gotta long press it for it to start, it'll run, and you click it again to shut it off. So it's not a potentiometer where you can add and take out current. So you gotta long press it till it starts, let go, then click it again to shut it off. So there's really no control over it other than your angle and whatnot. But anyway, I'm gonna get this going. Might have touched the tungsten to that a little bit. My best work yet. Can I finish? And we got a fire. So as you can see, I'm doing this live, my bench is on fire. Better put that out. Oops. You definitely want a welding table, and I don't have one. But I guess you tell me if that's a good weld or not. But anyways, it looks nice. I think I got good penetration on it, and looks like it's getting back on a bicycle for me, other than the little guy at the end. Don't worry about that little guy. Alright, so that's pretty much the long and short of this $200 TIG welder. Thank you to Vevor for sponsoring today's video. This is honestly the solution I was looking for the last couple of years to get back into TIG welding. I love doing it, and for 200 bucks, no discount code applied. You know, for 200 bucks, you cannot go wrong. Not only that, it doubles as a stick welder. So, if you want to get a super inexpensive way to get into TIG welding, I honestly recommend Vevor. This was sent in exchange for some advertising, but I thought it was worth doing, and honestly, even for the money, what I know now, I would buy one. There's no doubt in my mind. So 200 bucks, something you can have in your garage, throw it on your welding cart or whatever. I've got one over here with a MIG welder on it, so I'm not pretending to weld on occasion. Got my MIG cart here, and it works really well. That's a Northern Tool special. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm out of practice, but I am slowly but surely going to get back into fighting shape. Thank you again to Vevor. Sincerely, that is a great welder. I may or may not have a link to it in the description with a discount. More to come on that, but check the description. By the time I upload this, I'll know if you guys get a discount or not. Even if not, I would recommend buying one. So let's get back right into the rest of today's video. Here it comes out of the garage. Well, the car does have a little leak, so we may trailer it home. It's hard to say, but we're going to inspect real quick and see where it's leaking from. It seems like it's cooling. Well, we got her just about unstrapped, which means it's going to come out. The trailer did take a little bit of an L on the way here. One of the tire fender, it started rubbing on the tire on that side. It was kind of strange. So the car is free. I'm gonna get it unstrapped, get it out outside into the garage. We can figure out what's leaking on it before we put any miles on it, because it is leaking coolant right now. But right now it is the next day, and we will get it started and out of the trailer. Okay, so the car is off the trailer, but it is lit up like a Christmas tree. I'm a little bit concerned that there's some electrical faults, but let's check it out here. We got 21 diagnostic codes. I'm gonna clear everything out, of course, before I start doing anything to it. And we're gonna get a new baseline because it's sat for a couple years. You know, who knows what's going on with it, but I got my Foxwell scanner out and we're gonna see what's going on here. MAF, knock sensor, misfire, no comm with brake control module. I do suspect that I have a bad ABS module, which is super common on these cars. I mean, they've got a ton of problems at the end of the day. So clear them out. We'll go back and let's check out the ABS, TCS steering module. Oh, looks like it's got to scan one more time. Looks like we've got a left front wheel speed, right front wheel speed, internal malfunctions. We got all sorts of stuff. So we're going to clear these out too, see what comes back after a quick drive. You know, it'll clear out some things, but guaranteed there's problems. We'll clear this stuff out, and we're going to get a fresh start here. I mean, you got to think, it's been sitting for a couple of years, the car's been dead, you know, all this different stuff. Even after clearing it out, there you go, came right back on. We're gonna change engine oil, all this stuff. Another thing to note, the DIC buttons do not work in here, so that's something that I've got to get working. One must be stuck. You get that, you hit any of the buttons, and basically nothing happens. So we're gonna fire the car up here in a sec, and let's go for a quick drive around the block and see what pops back up.
Yeah, all we're doing is putting this jet in the header pipe, and then we're filling this up with oil from here, and then the cup shut in. It burns a little bit of exhaust gas. I've always wondered how they do this. I have no idea until I looked it up. You don't think
What else are you guys do?
the only way to get it right. You never see daylight again.
Oh, he's on his second joint. He took a whole tube of grease already.
Honestly, one of my least favorite tasks on cars is coolant stuff. Seems like inevitably. There we go. Let's get a little closer here. I mean, I don't care how you do it. You're going to end up splashing this stuff all over the place, and it drives me nuts. So, try and be careful here. Anyways, first step, drain the coolant system, disconnect your radiator hoses. There is an upper and a lower, and there's two for the coolant expansion tank and reservoir up top that are going to come off real easy. So I'm going to let this splish splash around, and yeah, basically go from there. I got a second one, or second tank here, just in case need be, but looks like the coolant's good and clean and green. So I'm going to step back with the camera. We'll see how much is left in here, because I did drive it a little bit, of course, without knowing it was leaking at first. But I went around the block a couple of times. It drips a little bit and runs down the engine as you drive. But anyway, I don't know if I articulated it earlier in the video when I showed you, but the crack is actually right here on top of the plastic end tank. So it's too bad. It's probably the factory radiator. Works fine otherwise. It seems to be in good shape. Just ended up cracking somehow, which is odd considering it does have coolant in it. It's like the prior owner had stored it with water that I'm aware of at any point, which, you know, that caused some serious damage. But anyway, so far this is being pretty easy. I'm going to start disconnecting the hoses up top and crank away at this pretty quick, and hopefully we'll be done in under an hour. Try to be careful so I don't bleed or spray coolant anywhere, because I already got one gimped hand. There you go. Not as gentle as I hoped, but the upper radiator hose on that side, and last one's the lower, and then we're done. Oops. Never catch a falling knife, a wise man once said. So hopefully he didn't drive it much low or got it hot or anything, but so far it's seeming promising. And not really spilling much, so fingers crossed we'll continue the streak. That was not fun. You really got to shoehorn this thing in there, I'm telling you. I'm sure it'll go in super easy, of course. But yeah, coming out, what a pain that was. Holy cow. And I'm gonna realign everything off camera. It's a real pain, but once we're aligned, we're gonna put everything back together, fill up the system with some fresh coolant, and fire it up and see if we got any leaks. Need like 5 more fingers and telepathy to just zip that back together quick. That was a lot of alignment. Now, at the end of the day, they probably build it as an assembly. So of course it all goes in together, you know, probably before the engine and whatnot. But when it's not an assembly, what a pain. Now, one thing I'm noticing, there's actually not a fill point on top of the radiator, so I might open up that top radiator hose quick and fill the radiator and cooling system that way. That's going to actually be way faster than filling that reservoir and letting it run and potentially getting hot. So I didn't look it up, but that seems to be the smartest move, so I'm going to go ahead and plan on doing that. This is going to be slow going. Reconfigure here. Alright, so the car is looking really strong. After a quick wash, I've done no paint correction, but everything pretty much looks straight on it. There's a couple of scuffs probably from cones, and it's a little marked up from me leaning over it. I just gotta wash it off again or give it a quick spray wax. But anyways, the DIC or diagnostic indication control buttons there on the side aren't working. It doesn't seem like one is stuck. They all move freely. It's a very common issue on these cars. It's that or the IPC, the instrument panel cluster maybe. Anyways, it's one of the two things. The first thing you can really do in this sort of situation is do a hard power cycle. So what I did is disconnected both the negative and positive battery terminals. I'm going to give that the old college try and see if that clears up my my little issue there by resetting all the modules in the car and whatnot. But going through it with my scan tool and everything doesn't seem to have rendered any benefit either. So when we reconnect the battery, we're going to pull the car out. I've got a little bit of work to do in the garage as far as organizing and whatnot. But it's Memorial Day weekend. Got the CTA outside, looking strong off in the yard. So I'll park the cars outside for a while today, do some work in the garage, and have a clean slate and get working on this thing refreshed. It's actually nice. Makes it a lot easier having a clean workspace. So we'll fire it up, see if anything improved or otherwise, and go from there. I don't want to lose my cup of coffee, so I'm multitasking today. Brakes work. Running it kind of hard, giving it an Italian tune up here the last couple of days. It smoked pretty good after it sat, and it seems to have stopped at this point. look good, oil pressure, all that. This thing pulls hard. It's got a little baby cam, ported cylinder heads and long tubes. That's about it. This thing runs out pretty good. There's no doubt about it. It's not to the level of C60, but for those of us that are used to F-body with like a cam and stuff, this thing is quick, even with probably a pretty poochy rear gear in it. Let's go for a fun lap. Oops. It'll be something like this the day of. I can see the dots, you can't. Go the approximate course here. It's not going to be exact, of course. Slow is fast. More for the win. Can't see where I'm going. The car handles so much better than an F-body, even on these like kind of stockish little tires. It's unbelievable. Let's try one more. All right, I totally butchered going into second gear. I got a little excited. We're gonna try that again. I'll go another lap around, just kind of see how it's going. I got some more repairs to do to the car and more things to look over, so I'm not gonna absolutely beat it or do burnouts or nothing like that, but the car handles really well. So I think the fella I bought it from had it all sorted out. A C5 beats the doors off of an F-body. I don't care how well they're set up. They're just better cars at the end of the day. I hate to say it, I'm a die-hard F-body guy, but even this C5 would smoke like the Trans Am that I just had. It feels just so much more positive in every way. So let's try one more time. Real bad there, so this run would have scrubbed. All right, a little cool down lap. They're so playful. See if we can do a little bit better. I'm not gonna go nuts, but C5, fun car, especially for the money. They just handle. That's fun. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna do some more repairs, check things over again, see if anything started leaking, because I'm finally driving it a little bit, and we'll see you guys back at the shop. Well, that's pretty much it for today's video. It's a quick update on the C5 that I've had going on in the background. It could use a little bit more work here and there, namely the top is really faded on it, like a lot of the Target tops or the clear acrylic ones actually get. Mine is no exception, so that's something I'll take on this winter for sure. Try and get that all dialed in, but otherwise the car is awesome. I drive it pretty often. I don't quite know where to go with it from here. I do have the bigger brakes set up, and the full set of C5Z wheels and tires with the slicks on it. One of the wheels has a little bit of damage and the tires could be replaced, but otherwise this is just a really great driver. And I think for the money, if you could find a 6-speed car like this, you'd be really well off to taking a look at it, especially with today's market on how C5 and C6 prices have changed in the last couple of years. I would strongly consider looking at a C5 for the money. But that's all I got for today's video. Once again, I'd like to thank Vevor for sponsoring today's video. The TIG welding setup from Vevor works awesome. You can run it pretty much right out of the box if you've got all the other stuff to TIG weld with it. But otherwise, that's about it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one.